Mhm. Good morning to everyone on the platform. Can I check Committee Secretary whether we have a quorum to start the meeting?
Hi, good morning, Chair, and everyone on the platform. Chair, we're correct. Shall I proceed with the roll call, Chair?
Please.
Recording in progress.
Mr. Biani is on the platform, Chair. Dr.
Okay.
Mutwani.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I'm present. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Dr. Mutwani, Chair. Chair, she's on the platform, Chair.
Yeah.
Mr. Bergman.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Mr. Mulder, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Chair, Mr. Malamatia.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I'm present. Thank you.
Good morning.
Chair, Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh is also on the platform, Chair. Mr. Monakedi.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I'm present. Thank you.
Good morning.
Chair, those are all members currently on the platform. The others may still join us, Chair.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Okay. Thank you. Can we have the agenda, please? Can I check whether there are any apologies?
Chair, I have not received any formal apologies. I'm assuming other members will still join. If I receive an apology during the course of the meeting, I will inform you about it, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. No, that's fine. Can we have a move and a seconder for this agenda to be adopted? Honorable Malamacha.
Thank you, Chair. I stand to move for the outcome of the agenda.
Thank you. Honorable Mbiani.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I support the adoption of the agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. Our agenda duly being adopted. The purpose for us meeting here today is to consider the first draft of the second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance of the DTIC. Also to consider some minutes and the first draft of the committee's legacy report. Thank you very much. Committee Secretary, can we look at the second and third quarter report?
No problem. We shall proceed with that, Chair. Chair, just to indicate that we have requested party to submit concluding remarks, and we've received remarks from the ANC, so we'll also add that to the discussion, Chair, if that's in order.
That's in order. Please proceed.
Chair, I think in terms of the process, maybe we look at the concluding remarks, Margot. The other points that was raised in the before we go to conclusions. The issues raised by members. Chair, do we go straight to conclusions, or we just look at the points raised by members during the deliberations, Chair? We'll be guided by you.
Yeah, I think look at points raised by members during deliberations.
No,
they can see that it's captured.
Chair, we won't go into the detail of the response because I would assume members would have read it, Chair, but just to highlight the issues that were raised by members is relating to the impact outcome targets. I'll just read those issues, Chair, and then we'll proceed. During the financial year, a number of impact outcome targets set by the DTIC. The committee inquired whether all targets set by the DTIC would be met and the minister's response to that. Then in terms of industrial policy is captured there. Then in terms of industrial policy, at the start of the new administration, government reviewed South Africa's industrial policy. The main objective was to ensure that all South Africans directly benefit from the industrialization initiatives through job creation and more inclusive business ownership. The focus was on strategic value chains, primarily through the promotion of localization and sector master plans, and to advance the legal and other modalities necessary to promote trade within Africa through the African Continental Free Trade Area. The committee inquired whether South Africa's industrial policy was interventionist, hence not effectively addressing the structural inefficiencies with the economy. The minister extensively responded to that, Chair. It's quite a long response, and I would assume members would have read through the response. Then is the other structural challenges facing South African economy. South Africa's economy is the most diverse, technologically sophisticated and industrialized in Africa. However, there are structural imbalances that serve as intractable barriers to long-term economic development and progress. Socioeconomic challenges pose a significant risk given the continued energy crisis, constricted infrastructure and logistics, with unfavorable global conditions and climate shocks. The committee inquired whether the government has been considering measures to change the structure of the South African economy. And the minister also gave an extensive response to that, Chair. I would assume members would have read through that. Margot? Then, Chair, the other issue that was raised by the committee was on skills development. Currently, South Africa is facing an imbalance between the demand and supply of appropriate skills to grow the economy. Given its industrialization trajectory, the available skills do not accommodate the market demands. Therefore, a clear government-led vocational strategy is required to ensure the supply of sector-specific skills that will promote and enhance its current industrialization drive. Notwithstanding the progress made with respect to skills development, the committee inquired whether it effectively addressed the skills mismatch within the labour market. The minister also responded with regard to that matter, Chair. We go down. Then on the status of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA is set to expire in 2025. The committee has been aware of initiatives by government through the DTIC to extend the term of AGOA and to secure South Africa's continued participation in AGOA. The committee inquired what the status of negotiation on AGOA was, and the minister also gave a response to that, which is captured in the report. Then on trade performance and balance of payment, South African trade balance remains in negative. Hence, the committee was concerned about the effectiveness of its trade promotion strategy. And the minister also then responded to that concern raised by the committee. Then the issue of the status of the health promotion levy. In an effort to lower the nation's sugar consumption and combat obesity, the government implemented the HPL, the levy on sugar sweetened beverages, in April 2018. This was in response to the World Health Organization proposal. The committee inquired what the status of the HPL was, given that its increase has been suspended until 2025, and whether the DTIC would be engaged the Minister of Finance in this regard. The Minister also provided a response to that. I think, Chair, that is the last issue that was captured as part of the deliberations, Chair. Shall I proceed with conclusions, or do you want members to maybe want to add if you missed something or not, Chair?
No, I think you can go into conclusions and we'll discuss everything.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, these are the proposed conclusions by the ANC. The committee noted the DTIC's non-financial performance for the second and third quarter of the 2023-24 financial year of 78.8% and 58.2% respectively. It encouraged the DTIC to address the areas that have been lagging. However, it welcomed DTIC's achievements on its 45 impact outcomes targets up to the third quarter, with 60% of the annual targets already achieved or overachieved, and a further 26.7% of the annual targets well on track to be achieved by the end of the current financial year. It welcomed government's interventions to address structural constraints to the economy, interventions such as beneficiation, localization, enabled by the industry master plans in promotion of local manufacture and export of value-added products. The committee welcomed the existing collaboration between government and the private sector in certain sectors, which has facilitated localization of productive capacity, particularly in sectors such as pharmaceuticals. It acknowledged the critical role that Africa played in developing regional value chains, as well as the work being done to facilitate these value chains. This includes the development of the African Continental Free Trade Area and ensuring that trade agreements support the regional economic development. It welcomed the progress made in terms of engagement with the United States on South Africa's ongoing inclusion in the African Growth and Opportunity Act and the extension thereof beyond 2025. South Africa's continued inclusion in and preferential access to the United States market through AGOA would support continental economic integration. The committee remains concerned about the high levels of economic concentration within most sectors of the economy, which constrains inclusive economic growth. There is a need to address the concentration in the economy both geographically and intersectorally. In this regard, there is a need to increase support for small, rural, and township businesses to participate in the mainstream economy through the revitalization of industrial parks and the provision of industrial financing. Furthermore, more work should be done to address high levels of concentration in various sectors of the economy. Given shifts in the developed economies towards lowering carbon footprints of goods they manufacture and import, the committee encourages the DTIC to continue implementing measures to enable the manufacturing sector to maintain globally competitive. In this regard, it welcomes shifts towards the green economy and green hydrogen. The committee acknowledged the skills mismatch in the economy, and there is a need for collaboration between the DTIC and relevant national departments and institutions of higher learning. The committee welcomed that the health promotion levy on sugar-sweetened beverages would not be increased until 2024, as this provides an opportunity for the sugar industry to investigate diversification options. It urged the DTIC and the industry to continue pursuing these options and implement the necessary legislative amendments to ensure the sustainability of the industry, in particular small-scale cane growers. Marco? Those are the concluding remarks submitted by the ANC Chair. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So can we check whether there are any inputs on those, on the concluding remarks from other political parties? Can I just check, does other political parties have an opportunity to still submit if they haven't done so?
Yes, Chair, because the intention is to formally consider this report next Wednesday. So parties still have the opportunity to submit it before that so that we can consider it on the morning of Wednesday, the 20th, Chair.
Okay. So can I just check whether there are any inputs on what has been presented as we consider this first draft of the second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance of the department?
Bergman, Chair.
Honorable Bergman.
Chair, thanks very much. And I've had only very few months in this portfolio, so please forgive me if I'm a little out of what's meant to be in order here. But in terms of having the different parties give input into this report, I've never seen that before, and it's new to me. But I'm not sure if I give verbal input now, I still reserve my right, obviously, that we give written input, and still obviously then reserve our right to comment when it's presented to Parliament, no doubt. But if we agree with some of the points that the ANC have proposed, I mean, do we have to repeat that, or do we state that we agree with point so and so and point so and so of the ANC's proposed conclusions? I just want to seek some clarity on that. But from our side, sorry, yes, Chair.
No, I think let us clarify you on that one, Committee Secretary.
Chair, nothing prevents the parties to either support the concluding remarks proposed by the ANC, and where they may have a challenge, they can indicate, and then the committee can consider whether they're in agreement with that particular concern that may have been raised. So it's a fair, it's an open process. So if the other parties agree to the concluding remarks, there's no problem with that. But if they may have a challenge with particular, I'm just using an example, point 1, and they want to add another spin to it, they can propose that and the committee can consider that. So it's a process, because it's a committee report and all parties are participating in that process, Chair.
Yeah, so just in terms of the process, Honourable Bergman, when we formally consider next week, we will go conclusion by conclusion, and the committee members or the committee will have an opportunity to register either their support or their change or opposition to the conclusion. And we'll then deliberate as a committee. You may continue, Honourable Bergman. I think you were still speaking on the concluding remark.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, from our side then, if I can just then propose a few remarks on our proposed conclusion. From our side, I think our main themes that we've been quite consistent on is, of course, the way in which in the last 2 quarters the boards, the restructuring of the boards or the compliance of the boards of the different entities and the monitoring of these boards and compliance has been undertaken by the Department of Trade and Industry, that we believe that there a lot more focus needs to be had from the Department of Trade and Industry, and I think a lot more oversight from our committee, I think, is also important. I think that in terms of the scrap metal ban, I think that we've missed an opportune time with the Minister announcing that he wished to extend the ban, that this committee, I think, would have also had a more opportune time to question in quarters 3 the report, what was, I think it was called the Genesis report, in the sense that not a lot of data was made available to the public and to the people that it affects. And I think it was up to the committee to be able to oversight through more information, and something like the Genesis report, I believe, would have given us that information. In terms of the South African Bureau of Standards, when that report, I think that I believe that what we saw there was, in terms of the financial statements and in terms of what's been delivered, we need to focus on the marrying of operational expenditure with technological advancements in terms of certification and compliance, so that we can work, so that they can work towards an audit without any qualifications, a full clean audit, and that's SABS can be a competing concern in the private sector. That the private sector, it would be a non-competing concern in the private sector. I think the wording would be that the private sector, the testing stations in the private sector would not be able to compete with SABS because they would have the right technology to compete in areas like testing cement, or, you know, where they said that they were found wanting. So I think, yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Oh, in the National Lottery Commission, I think there were unfortunately a lot of glaring weaknesses there, which we were of concern, was the investigations that are still open, and the fact that that only one investigator has been in charge of those investigations from an SIU and NPA point for the last since 2020 is a source of great concern, because of the amount of cases that have been finalized, and the amount of cases that bona fide cases that have been handed to the NPA that have been decided not to be taken on by the NPA. And I think the rest I will submit in writing. Thanks very much, Chair.
Yes, I think Committee Secretary, this meeting is recorded, so those inputs then made by Honourable Bergman will then be captured, and we will look at it when we adopt the report next week. Can I take Honourable Mbuyane? Sorry.
No, I think I'll speak
Committee
maybe if I have an opportunity after Mr. Mbuyane, Chair.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay, Honourable Mbuyane.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity. Chairperson, I was proposing that can Mr. Bergman write down and submit to the Secretariat, so that we are able to check whether it's in line with what is there or not, so that we will be able to integrate if needs be. And also, Chair, because now, yes, he has alluded to some issues, but it will be proper to submit a written submission to the committee. And also, Chair, other political parties, they are also welcome until next week, Wednesday, or when is the timeline for us to make some input as well, or other parties that did not submit currently. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I think we all agree on that. Committee Secretary, just the process going forward.
Yeah, correct, Chair. Parties can also continue to submit and hopefully we receive it by Tuesday, so that we can check if it's procedurally in order, Chair. So allows us that time to look at that, Chair. Also to note that the issues raised by Mr. Bergman is important issues, but we're looking at the second and third quarter of the DTIC's non-financial and financial performance report. The issues and those issues were not captured in the body of the report, Chair. So it will be difficult to include something that there is no substance in the body in itself, because you mentioned scrap metal and those issues. Those particular issues could be issues that could form part of our legacy report, Chair, because those are concerns that we need to continue as a proposal that we made to the 7th Parliament. So it's important issues that could maybe form part of the legacy report, Chair. But for the purpose of the second and third quarter, the body of the report does not reflect any writing up on scrap metal and those issues raised by Mr. Bergman, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll await the written submission, and then we will consider. You'll also indicate what is not in the body of the report as we formally consider the report next week.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Yeah, next agenda item.
Okay, the next agenda items we consider minutes, Chair. 4 sets of minutes. I think we need to just to get minutes out of the way, so I thought we can do 4 sets of
Yeah.
minutes this morning, Chair.
Yes, proceed.
We're just waiting for Margaret to flight the first set, Chair. Chair, the first set is the 21st of February. We had a briefing by the National Gambling Board on its first, second, and third quarter financial and non-financial performance for the 23-24 financial year. And the committee also considered minutes, Chair. I think we had a full house, Chair. Point 2, the Ms. Kongwa led the briefing, and point 2.2, and focus on the issues raised by the committee during the interaction. We go down. We consider minutes of the 6th of December, the 6th of February, and the 14th of February, and we resolve that we will require for the minister when the NGPC meetings have been scheduled since 2018, and the meeting adjourned until the 23rd of February, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I check whether there are any omissions, or whether you are sure that the minutes is a correct reflection of our deliberations on the day? Honorable Mbuyani.
Chairperson, thanks once more. I propose that we adopt the minutes as a true reflection of our deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Monakedi.
Thank you very much, Chair. I second the proposal for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. So the minutes of the 21st of February is duly adopted. Next set of minutes.
The minutes of Friday, 23rd, we received a briefing by the GTRC on its second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance for the current financial year, which included a briefing on the green hydrogen commercialization strategy and the electric vehicle white paper. Chair, go down. We had apology from Mr. McPherson and Mr. Mbuyani. Chair, we point 2, the minister proceeded to do with the briefing, and the report committee deliberated, and the deliberations is captured in the report that we just looked at, Chair. And the meeting adjourned at 12:42 until the 27th of February, Chair.
Thank you. Can we have a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes, if you are satisfied that it is a true reflection on our deliberations on that day? Honorable Moatse.
Thank you very much, Chair. I move for adoption of the minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Moatse. Honorable Monakedi.
Thank you, Chair. I move, or rather second, the proposal for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The minutes is then duly adopted. Next set of minutes.
Minutes of the 27th of February, Chair. We had a briefing by the National Meteorology Institute of South Africa, NIMESA, on their first, second, and third quarter financial and non-financial performance for the 23-24 financial year. Chair, we had an apology from Mr. McPherson on that day, Chair, which is a spelling error that we will fix, Chair. Point 2, Chair, briefing by NIMESA, led by Dr. Mochweni and Dr. De Vos. And point 2 captures the deliberation and the issues that the committee focused on, Chair. And the meeting adjourned until the 28th of February, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we have Movers and seconders for the adoption of the minutes of the 27th of February. Honorable Mbiani.
Thank you, Chairperson. I propose that we adopt the minutes as a true reflection of our deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any seconder? Honorable Moatse.
Thank you, Chairperson. I second the adoption of the minutes. So I
Thank
move
you
for-
very much. That means our minutes are duly adopted. The minutes of the 27th of February. Next set of minutes.
Chair, the minutes of the 28th of February, we had the briefing by the South African National Accreditation System, SANAS, on their first, second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance for the current financial year. We had an apology from Mr. McPherson, Chair. Chair, the briefing was led by Mr. Paluane and Mr. Shai and Mr. Osman. Point 2 captured the deliberation in the areas focused on by the committee. There was a resolution that they will inquire for the reason for delaying the appointment of a CEO of SANAS. The meeting adjourned until Tuesday, the 5th of March, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we have a move and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes of the 28th of February? Honorable Moatse.
Thank you, Chair. I move adoption of the minutes.
Thank you. Honorable Malamacha.
Thank you, Chair. I second the move.
Thank you. So our minutes of the 28th of February are duly adopted. Are there any other minutes or is this the last set?
The last set of minutes for the today, Chair.
I think, members, we are doing quite well on time. So let's go straight into the next agenda item, which is the first draft of the committee legacy report. Committee Secretary.
Chair, if Ms. Sheldon will flag the chair, for the purpose of today's meeting, we'll focus on 3.7, 0.4, 0.11, and 12. The others are purely information that is captured as part of the process. But for input from members, 3.7, 4, 11, and 12 are quite important. And the issues raised even by Mr. Bergman now could be also form part of the legacy issues that the committee may feel that the 7th Parliament must continue following up on. Chair, Ms. Sheldon will take us through the issues for input for the members' consideration, Chair. Thank you. Through you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Sheldon.
Good morning, Chair and members. The team has come up with the following issues to follow up, but for the committee's consideration. In terms of industrial development, we've got a number of matters. The first being the monitoring of the implementation of local public procurement, and coinciding with that would be the monitoring of the impact of the public procurement bill on the mandate of the DTIC. There should be ongoing monitoring and engaging with stakeholders of the implementation of the master plans, possibly holding a colloquium or stakeholder engagement on progress made in addressing challenges or removing obstacles affecting the manufacturing sector, such as high administrative prices, electricity shortages, water quality and availability, and port and transport logistics. That particular one is based on the fact that this committee over the last 3 parliaments has done quite a bit of work in this area, but we haven't necessarily come back to it, especially in terms of engaging stakeholders, in terms of what the progress or regression or where we are at in terms of these matters. And the next one is monitoring the implementation of plans to diversify the sugar industry and the reform of the sugar industry legislation to enable this process. Monitoring the implementation of the green hydrogen commercialization strategy, as well as the electric vehicle white paper, and monitoring the review of the incentive programs. Chair, do you want me to go through everything and then members have an opportunity, or give them an opportunity at this point?
I think let's go
Right.
through everything and then we'll come back. Okay.
Okay, Chair. Then in terms of trade, investment and exports, considering overseeing the implementation of the AfCFTA and ongoing negotiations in this regard, overseeing the impacts of the economic partnership agreements with the EU and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, overseeing the uptake of the United States as AGOA and the review of the AGOA, monitoring the implementation and development of provincial one-stop shops to facilitate foreign and local direct investment, monitoring the implementation of the Protection of Investment Act, engaging the department and stakeholders on the impact of environmental measures to mitigate climate change on South Africa's trade sustainability and its trading relations, engaging the department on the progress made in implementing the SACU strategic plan, and engaging the department and stakeholders on South Africa's trade and service agenda and the role of this in facilitating trade. In terms of economic transformation, monitoring the impact of the BBBE legislation, particularly in terms of the implementation of industry sector codes, and then overseeing progress made in the development of planned and designated special economic zones, and overseeing progress made in the implementation of the Industrial Parks Revitalization Program. In terms of regulation, credit regulation, monitoring the implementation of the National Credit Amendment Act, the 2019 Act specifically, reviewing the impact and challenges associated with the current debt review system on consumers, credit providers, debt counselors, and payment distribution agencies. In terms of companies, monitoring the implementation of the two companies amendment bills that will hopefully be promulgated. Gambling and lotteries, monitoring that the 2050 National Gambling Policy is refined and that legislation on broader gambling regulation is developed, addressing horse racing, bingo, online gambling, greyhound racing, and FAFI, amongst others. Just to note that there's a split between just general substantive issues as well as governance issues. So we will have underneath some entity issues still coming up. Intellectual property, monitoring the development of amendments to the Patents Act and the Designs Act, as these are essential to implementing phase 1 of the National Intellectual Property Policy, monitoring the development of the additional phases for the National Intellectual Property Policy, ensuring that copyright legislation is developed that gives effect to the constitutional judgment, so that's in case the current copyright amendment bill does not get signed by the president. Monitoring that the instruments of the accession for the Beijing Treaty on Audiovisual Performances, the WIPO Copyright Treaty, and the WIPO Performances and Phonographs Treaty are deposited once the Copyright Amendment Bill and the Performance Amendment Bill are promulgated. Monitoring the progress in terms of tabling the Marrakesh VIP Treaty for approval by Parliament for accession to it, noting that it would come into 3 months after the instrument of accession is deposited at the WIPO. Therefore, domestic legislation should be in place prior to this. Monitoring the progress in considering whether South Africa should accede to the Madrid Protocol, which deals with trademarks. Overseeing DTIC's development of utility models to promote the protection of smaller stakeholders' inventions and support offered by the CIPC to these inventors. So this would allow them to register patents that do not meet the current high level of technological advances required. So they could make smaller technological increments. And then monitoring the status and integration of Intellectual Property Laws Amendment Act and the Protection, Promotion, Development and Management of Indigenous Knowledge Act. The department had submitted 3 possible options that they were considering, but they haven't gotten back to us on what exactly the final decision was. Then in terms of the DTIC and its entities, monitoring filling of acting senior management positions at the department and its entities and or the boards. And this one could be adjusted based on Mr. Bergman's input previously. Monitoring the necessary legislative reviews of the BBBE companies, credit, gambling, liquor and space legislation. Monitoring the development and implementation of priority legislation, such as the Draft Patents Amendment Bill, Draft Designs Amendment Bill, the National Building Regulations and Building Standards Act, the Companies Amendment Bill, and the Companies Second Amendment Bill. Then requesting feedback on the consideration of rationalizing the department and its entities, including the financial resources, requesting a review of legislated levies and fees for entities to enable them to increase their revenue stream to reduce their dependence on ongoing fiscal constraints, monitoring the establishment of the Incentives Adjudication Review Committee, and overseeing the non-financial support offered to unsuccessful applicants of industrial financing, capacitate them to meet the requirements of these programs, and or to improve their business management skills. In terms of technical infrastructure institutions, NMISA, to continue monitoring of the requisite building and technological upgrades to ensure the sustainability of South Africa's metrology system, given technological advances in the maintenance of metrology standards globally. Monitoring the filling of vacancies, particularly for specialized skills. Monitoring how NMISA addresses challenges around implementing a career ladder to develop and retain the necessary skills required by the institution, including a succession planning and technical skills development. Monitoring its capacity to generate income, given the need to balance the maintenance of the metrology system and offering measurement services and products. And then monitoring the disciplinary action taken against the Chief Financial Officer who had been suspended. In terms of the NRCS, monitoring the filling of critical vacancies, including the Chief Executive Officer's position, continued monitoring of his ICT modernization process, overseeing the impacts of the risk-based approach implemented in terms of the processing of letters of authority, monitoring that unfunded mandates, such as the inspection of process meets, are resolved, and monitoring the process of determining and collecting levy revenue. STABS, monitoring the implementation of the turnaround strategy in order to stabilize and grow STABS' finances, i.e. the maintenance of the existing client base and attraction of new clients, as well as repackaging of products and services, continued monitoring of the restructuring process and the filling of critical vacancies, including the CEO's position, continued monitoring of its infrastructure recapitalization process, particularly at its Groenkloof campus, as well as its ICT modernization process. SANAS, monitoring that the IT system implemented regarding the payment of creditors is working effectively to ensure that it meets its credit obligations within a 30-day period, and monitoring that the CEO post is full. Then regulatory entities. The BBBE Commission are monitoring the review of the legislation to either align its powers and functions with its current establishment as a trading entity, or to establish it as an independent scheduled entity. Monitoring the funding and expansion of the Commission's human resources. Then the CIPC overseeing implementation of the two company bills once promulgated. Overseeing the implementation of the beneficial ownership register, and monitoring the regulation of collecting societies once the copyright is promulgated. Companies Tribunal, overseeing the implementation of the Companies Amendment Bill once promulgated, especially in terms of its new mandate related to BBBE matters and its refined governance structure. Then the Competition Commission, overseeing the implementation of the Competition Act requesting updates on ongoing investigations, monitoring the implementation of recommendations made by the Competition Commission in its previous market inquiries, and overseeing measures being implemented to address the high levels of concentration in the economy. The NCC, monitoring the filling of critical vacancies, particularly for senior management positions, such as the Commissioner. And then the NCT, monitoring the implementation of the National Credit Amendment Act in terms of the debt intervention and additional offences and penalties for non-compliance with the legislation. In terms of the NCR, monitoring the implementation of the National Credit Amendment Act in terms of the debt intervention and additional offences and penalties for non-compliance with the legislation, monitoring their financial situation. Then NGB, following up on the policy stance on NGB being transformed into regulator without a board. NGB is intended to remain as is, monitoring that a new board and CEO is appointed so that the entity may come out of administration. NLC, monitoring progress made in terms of the ongoing investigations by the SAU, the SAPS and Hawks, as well as the civil and criminal prosecutions by the NPA and the recovery of misappropriated funds. Monitoring disciplinary action taken by the NLC against staff found to be implicated by the NLC, the SAU and other investigating agencies. Monitoring the findings of the lifestyle audits for officials and board members at the NLC. Following up on redress for legitimate non-governmental organizations and NPCs that have been affected by corruption and maladministration. Monitoring the filling of critical vacancies, particularly for senior management positions and distributing agencies. Continued monitoring of the restructuring process. Overseeing the review of the process for research-based funding, as well as the lifting of the moratorium in this regard. Overseeing the process to license the next national lottery operator, and following up on audit outcomes and the development and implementation of action plans, particularly in terms of irregular expenditure and material irregularity investigations. Then, in terms of the DFIs, the ECIC, monitoring the appointment of a new CEO and monitoring the implementation and rollout of short-term credit insurance. In terms of the IDC, monitoring of debt impairments and monitoring the implementation of the Black Industrialist Program and support of the Black Industrialists. In NEF, monitoring the appointment of a new CEO, monitoring the financial sustainability of the NEF and its recapitalization. Chair, should I pause here?
I think you can complete the whole report, because this is the first draft, and then we'll see what inputs there are.
Okay, Chair. In terms of legislation, there were two challenges emerging. The first was that they had approved the WIPO Copyright Treaty, the WIPO Performance and Phonographs Treaty, and the Beijing Treaty on Audiovisual Performances for accession in the 5th Parliament. However, these agreements come into force within 3 months of depositing the instruments of accession. But this cannot obviously be deposited until the Copyright and Performance Protection Amendment bills are finalized and so therefore this is preventing the depositing of those instruments, and this may have a negative impact on the stakeholders it should benefit. Then the Constitutional Court judgment in terms of Blind SA versus Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition stated that that Section 7 read with Section 23 of the Copyright Act are unconstitutional, invalid and inconsistent with the rights of persons with visual and print disabilities. This declaration of unconstitutionality was suspended until the 20th of September of this year to enable Parliament to remedy the defect in the Copyright Act, giving rise to the unconstitutionality. Copyright. Amendment Act seeks to address the court's ruling. However, this is dependent on the President's assent before the deadline. Chair, can you hear me?
You are going a bit softer, but you can hear you.
Okay. The issues to follow up. The seventh Parliament to consider tracking that the Copyright Amendment Bill is assented to by the President to ensure that the deadline set by the Constitutional Court is met. 7.
Chair, if I may just add to that, Chair.
Yes.
If I may, Chair, if the President don't assent to it, the seventh committee in the seventh Parliament can produce a committee bill to try to attempt to comply with the Constitutional Court judgment in regard of that line essay, Chair.
So don't you think it would be good for us to capture that?
Yes, we should. Yeah, that's why I was thinking, yeah.
Okay. Okay, proceed, Margot.
Okay, in terms of international agreements, following challenges emerged. The delayed tabling of the international agreements and accompanying documents creates a challenge for the committee to consider the content of these agreements, especially when the objective has a set deadline for Parliament to process these agreements for ratification or session. Then the issue of follow-up is the seventh Parliament to consider notwithstanding the mandate of negotiating and signing international agreements resides with the executive, identifying a clear complementary role before and during the negotiations process, underscored by the constitutional principle of separation of powers. And then section 11 deals with lessons learned and challenges experienced. In terms of our virtual platforms, once the committee overcame initial teething challenges using the Zoom platform, the benefits of this medium has been a reduction in transport and meeting logistic costs, and that meetings are recorded and readily available to a wider audience on Parliament's YouTube channel. In addition, the committee's carbon footprint is reduced as there is no need for members, officials, and other stakeholders to fly to Cape Town on a weekly. Furthermore, the platform enables the committee to have access to a wider range of stakeholders as the geographical restrictions are removed on such platforms. One of the key challenges of these platforms has been network constraints, especially during load shedding. In terms of oversight, due to the number of entities within the BTIC, it's difficult to see every budget vote and a neutral cycle, as well as to monitor these issues. Therefore, the committee adopted the approach of selecting a few entities that were considered critical for each of these oversight activities. However, there's a need to have a more systematic approach so that each entity is monitored fairly consistently over a 5-year period. This could include creating groups of entities that are seen at a time. Some of the critical governance areas that have been identified include procurement and tender processes, such as for leases of premises, appointments of boards and chairpersons, and conflicts of interest in terms of the distribution of funds. Operational matters, membership of committees. Members excluding alternatives serving on multiple committees often lose track of the deliberations and decisions, which impact on the committee's ability to finalize its work, particularly in relation to legislation. The appointment of most members to only one committee works well in this Parliament and enabled the committee to function efficiently. The lack of political institutional committee work has been a challenge when very few previous members of a committee are reappointed and or there are regular membership changes during the term. This impacts on members' ability to sufficiently expand on their understanding of the subject matter and to effectively engage on ongoing matters such as a piece of legislation. This also requires more time to equip members to effectively perform the legislative and oversight roles. Committee documentation. The style of the minutes should be similar to that of the National Assembly, and the formatting should be standardized. Document distribution prior to the meeting has been a challenge, as there have been several instances where the department and its entities have submitted their documents late. This hampers the ability of members and support staff to effectively prepare for meetings. The norm should be that documents should be received electronically at least 3 days prior to broad institutional issues. Unpredictable changes in the parliamentary program negatively impacted on the committee's work and the committee's image in relation to professionalism. While the committee acknowledges that changes are sometimes necessary, the frequency and short notice is a concern. This leads to meetings having to be cancelled or postponed at late notice and has a cost implication for its stakeholders. Parliament's time allocated for physical oversight during committee works is insufficient. Ideally, there should be 2 weeks per quarter with no interruptions in terms of house sittings and caucuses. Our bureaucratic processes, such as seeking permission to cancel a meeting, are superfluous. There is no understanding or urgency to process urgent applications where the committee was unaware of an event that it is required to attend within a day or 2. Delays in political and financial approvals where the process was initiated within the time limit set or well in advance has a financial and reputational implication for the committee and Parliament. This is particularly concerning for oversight visits and study tours, where the committee must confirm dates and or attendance for meetings and events. Committees require a degree of certainty to be able to plan effectively. Therefore, committees should adopt an annual plan or program, which is also adopted by the National Assembly. This would require that the focus areas are stated annually upfront. Financial and human resources should be effectively allocated based on the strategic evaluation and classification of the nature and volume of work of different committees. There's a need to balance the policy requirements of procurement by good governance with the rising from a different ICT 5 years. Example, moving from GroupWise to Microsoft Outlook. This has led to glitches in distributing information electronically, which impacts on the work of the committee's secretariat. And then in terms of travel, while the committee supports the need to empower new service providers so as to facilitate transformation into an inclusive economy, the quality of the service being provided should be monitored and assessed. As an example, where chauffeur-driven transport is obtained, the driver should be knowledgeable or have the necessary equipment to transport the committee to the right destination within a reasonable time estimate. He has on occasion been taken to the wrong venue in spite of providing the company with the correct details. These delays cut into the committee's oversight program and may increase the cost of Parliament. The House chairperson should indicate whether there are budgetary caps for oversight or international study visits to avoid multiple iterations of an application having to be submitted and thus delays processing applications and securing logistics for the visit. And then the last aspect, support staff. Over the 5 years, the committee support staff has been reduced by 2 staff members, namely a committee secretary and an executive secretary to the chairperson. These 2 vacancies were not filled, and there's been very little communication with the management of the committee section regarding the intention to fill these or to appoint acting support staff in these roles. Chair, that's end of my presentation.
Thank you. So, committee secretary, do you want us to go from where Margot started and then take inputs, or can we ask for inputs and consider it next week?
Chair, both can work, Chair. It's up to
Okay.
the committee to decide, Chair, and now we proceed. But if we both can work, Chair. Because
Okay.
even if members submit something now, they can still read through the document and still submit to us next week if any additional stuff they may want to include, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see, committee, if there's any inputs that you want. Tuesday next week to be considered in the final version of the report. Honorable Mbayani and then Honorable Bergman.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it will be procedural if we have any other issue to include. We submit it to the Secretariat so that when we adopt or we consider the report, everything is inclusive there. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Bergman.
Chair, I was happy with Andre's proposal about my input being populated onto the report where it fits. Thanks very much.
Sorry, I muted myself. I know that's fine then. So what we will do is to check by Tuesday next week, Committee Secretary, whether there's any other proposals from members to be included, and making a note that Honorable Bergman, there were inputs that he made that we said could be captured into the legacy report. I think that concludes this agenda item, Committee Secretary.
That's correct, Chair. That we will note the request by Mr. Bergman and we will capture it in the legacy report, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next agenda item. I think we've concluded.
Correct, Chair.
At 10 o'clock, that's beautiful. Can I just give you an opportunity for announcements?
Chair, for next week, we just in terms of the parliamentary program, I think we on Tuesday, we mentioned that there's an additional meeting that the committee will have on the 26th of March. Subsequent to our committee meeting, we were informed that's a full day plenary scheduled for that day. So the meeting with the minister will have to stand over. Chair, so potentially our last meeting could be on the 20th of March, where we will only consider the two reports and adopt the last sets of minutes for this sixth Parliament, Chair.
Okay. Then additionally, members, the committee received an invitation from the minister for the PC to attend the Black Industrialist Conference on the 20th. We have submitted of March. We have submitted a request, we have made inquiries from the House Chair, whether such an application will be considered. And I was advised that the budgets have been depleted in both the committee and the NA. But what has been communicated by the department is that the invitation is still open to members who can see to their own logistics to be part of that conference. I think we must just ask the committee secretary to share the letter of invitation with the members. Committee Secretary.
Chair, I will do so at the end of this meeting. Chair, I will forward to all members.
Thank you very much. That concludes. Okay, Honorable Mbiani.
Chairperson, thank you very much. In terms of, I don't know, because now we're on announcement and I'm raising hands. That means we need to engage the announcement. Because earlier on,
we'll make an exception today.
Yeah, earlier on, the Secretariat announced our meeting on the 20th, and now this invitation on the 20th. Is this going to be a physical meeting or what? Because seemingly it's on the same day, both announcements. Thank you for.
Yes, I hear what you're saying. Yes, our meeting will be a virtual meeting, but the Black Industrialist Conference will obviously be in person. But I think the committee must check whether we'll be able to make a quorum for the day. Otherwise, we must look at moving our meeting. I don't know if there's another day available, Committee Secretary.
Chair, the purpose of our meeting next week on the 20th is purely to adopt the two reports and minutes, Chair, which will probably, given the fact that we went through the substance of the body, I can't foresee us taking long, but if we start proceedings 8:30, Chair, by members, we could most likely be done the latest by 9:30, and then members can then join the Black Industrialist program if they so wish, Chair.
Okay, and tell me, the Friday the 22nd, is that in terms of Parliament's program? I don't have it open in front of me.
There's no, I think because of the 21st of March, Chair, I don't think anything is scheduled for committees. Remember, there's Thursday, the 21st of March, so nothing
it's
is
like a long weekend.
It's like a long weekend, Chair. But we can always double check the parliamentary program, Chair, and then communicate.
Okay, yes, and let's also maybe just ask the administrator or the secretary to do a round with committee members to check who of them will be able to attend, so that we can also inform the department which committee members will be able to get there on their own steam.
We will do so, Chair, through Yvonne, Chair. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. That concludes our deliberations for today. Thank you very much, members. Have a good weekend.
Long live the chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Are you going to remove people from the platform? I'm not sure. Is there anything you need me? The streaming service is still there.
Trying to remove them, Chair. Will we give us a sec?
Okay.